Everyone to Sohmalife Sundays. My name is Reverend Lynn LaBorde. This is a collaboration with my dear friend Robert Scarpa. Rob and I'm actually in Huntington right now. Rob and I lived here for the past 4 years. I've been running the Sohmalife Sanctuary, and it's been a wellness center. We transitioned to being an online wellness center in 2020 when COVID hit, and it really expanded things. We've run some development academies out of here. We've had, probably over 500 different classes with over 1,000 different students over the years, 50 different teachers. And Rob has a really interesting journey that started for him several years ago. But most recently, he's been doing automatic writing. So he's going to be doing some readings this evening. We don't have a special guest. It's just going to be the Lynn and Rob show tonight. And for anyone else who's here, if there's any comments that you'd like to make, any questions that you'd like to ask. Unfortunately, we're not simulcasting on Facebook because I can't do that from my iPhone. And it's the only fully charged device that I have with me in my travels. I'm heading back to Virginia tomorrow. So Rob, please share with us what you're guided to share with us this evening.
Okay.
And thank you all for being here.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you. What I was saying was I've been going through some older journals, not that old, 2019, when I first started with those automatic writing. And within there, I've discovered a lot of how-tos, a lot of instructions. A lot of these messages, I wrote them and never read them again. Didn't take them out of there, so I'm reading them again for the first time. And this particular message is this good setup for what's going on, how I receive messages going forward. And it starts with, it was from Osiris. So in the beginning, I didn't ask for Osiris. I just would write it at the top of the page because I recognized the energy. And I said, hello, beloved. Excuse me. No, this is what I heard from Osiris. Hello, beloved. It has been a few moments of silence. Rest assured that we are here to communicate with you. Transpiring. Things are to occur on your planet. Beautiful things. Ascension status. And then I lost my connection. And I wrote lost my connection because as I was just learning this, I was getting used to the energies. And then I wrote, I heard them say, we will continue at your request. So now I made a note 2 days later. So for 2 days, I wasn't able to connect. And I heard, let's continue. It was only within your imagination. We are always here. It is true that sometimes during recalibration, upgrades, and hard resets, a feeling of disconnection may occur. Rest assured, knowing that this is but a temporary occurrence, great testing and alignments are required. Hence the total exhaustion felt. A need for intense and dramatic sleep is the only way to integrate and place online the upgrades you have experienced. Always use caution when implementing and booting up the new firmware. Know that we are here to assist. It is simply a matter of asking, what channel now? The Inquisition is the key. Are you ready? Many are lined up under the marquee to see you. It is not the first time, Continue to integrate and implement all that has been received. You're going to love the way you look. Osiris. So, like I said, I just read this message again for the first time on Friday. And I kind of remembered it, but I didn't really, not so much. But it says that we all should ask once we get in that space, whether it be a brief meditation and now you want to get that message, they're saying, what channel now? It's in a question with a question mark. What channel now? So this morning I decided to ask, what channel now? I had my meditation. I said, okay, what channel? Who wants to speak with me? It's the same as what I'm asking, who wants to speak with me? But today I just said, what channel now? So, and then Inquisition is the key. The way to start this whole process moving for everyone is to inquire, right? Lloyd, you know that. Lynn, you do it all the time. And then what I thought was interesting was many are lined up under the marquee to see you, as if I'm the one on stage. Well, that's what they're referring to. But when I wrote this 2 years ago, I didn't recognize that I didn't see that. Now, as I reread it, I'm like, wow, okay. So now I get it when they're always telling me there are so many waiting to talk to you. They're lined up. I ask, give me one first. They say, no, it's a group. It's a collective. So this has been going on a lot longer than I realized, okay, since the very beginning. And that's my point in that. And the instructions are there for all of us, especially for the person who's just getting started in this. I noticed a common theme with a lot of these messages. My only job is to inspire people to meditate, to recommend meditation out of all the things that they ask, asking them to, giving them that, that pointer and say, go meditate because everything lies within. And again, that's a pattern I'm seeing through all these messages. So
Yeah.
I guess it'll be in one of the books will have this organized how to on all these different things of mediumship and channeling and all that. So then
It's like when Jay said that the kingdom of heaven lies within. He's not kidding. Listen,
right,
I just realized I actually have a phone stand downstairs in the sanctuary.
Okay, go get it. We'll wait.
I'm going to go off camera for a second. I'm going to go grab it.
Sure. Sorry, I'll just keep myself organized here because so I just thought it was interesting, that they're telling me that then, and I didn't even realize it until I reread this the other day.
I want to tell you my miracle this morning, and maybe Lloyd can share his.
Yeah.
So I've been reading this book called Psychic Pathway, just because I've been, curious on expanding upon what I already know to be true, right? And there was this one part where I was talking about your guides, and you have all these different guides, and it said that there is you have a finder guide, and a finder guide is someone who helps you find answers and helps you find lost things. Yesterday, I went out for a walk and I lost an earring somewhere between here, the house, and the park that I walked to and back again. And last month I had lost another earring. I knew it was in the house and I had lost it. But it's been gone. I mean, I've searched everywhere. So this morning I was in meditation and I decided to tap into my finder guides. And I'm like, I just lost this earring yesterday. If you can help me, point me in the right direction, just help me look in the right place. So get through my meditation, and I was out in my yard in my garden where I sometimes will sit and I'll do my meditation. It was a beautiful morning. And instead of going back into the house, I decided to walk up to the front of the house. And I swear to God, I almost tripped over the earring that was right on my front lawn, right in front of me. So I was like, oh my God. So now I'm laughing. And Hilarion was also in my meditation this morning too. So I'm laughing and I'm going, what do you think? Am I going to be 2 for 2 today? The other earring's been gone for well over a month. So I was having breakfast and I just got up and for some odd reason decided to look under the cushion on the chair in my living room, and what was sitting there but the other earring that's been missing for over a month. And now I'm laughing and I'm talking to Hilarion and I'm like, oh my God, of course that's why you were with me, so I could laugh at the absurdity of life and how we fall into this distrust that this is not real sometimes. And, I've just been sharing this story all day saying, don't you doubt that spirit's not there for you, because in every step of the way, even to find an earring, spirit is, I fell over these things, it was just crazy how it just lined up. It was pretty special.
The energies are adjusting and shifting more and more in our favor every day, provided we stay positive. And we expect good things, expect great things. So many messages say that. What you expect, you get. So it's all about expecting the good. I did hear another channel a few weeks ago said exactly what you're saying. Look again for those things that you lost and couldn't find, because they might appear, because the energies are shifting. So that mourning for that, change that mourning to excitement to find it, that you lost it. Now it's happy that you found it and it will appear. So it's working for all of us. There's so many synchronicities all around us. It's just a matter of staying positive and just expecting that stuff.
I even shared that with Sister Liz today, and she actually recalled something that had happened for her many, many years ago similarly. And, she's a bit of a skeptic. And so I was glad to kind of bring her back to herself in that, to kind of remind her like, hey, you got this, if you pay attention to it, you got it, And the energies are definitely out there to support it. So
Yeah,
it's not
especially the full
me or
moon energy
you
we've got. Yeah.
alone. It's everybody. It's just a matter, you have to inquire. You have to be willing to inquire.
The raising of the collective consciousness is what's
Yeah.
going on. We're all getting those higher vibrationary frequencies, those app upgrades. In that message I just read, it talks about adjusting to the new frequencies. The date of that was September 29th. So that was right after the equinox. That was right after we went from summer into fall. Okay. So the energies of the 21st of September, it was a lot going on then. I looked to see if we had a full moon because I didn't make a note of it. And the full moon was not for another week after this message. So it wasn't a full moon alignment. But I know in the beginning, as we get these upgrades, I would feel there would be days where I couldn't connect. It would feel like I couldn't receive the message. It was just noise, all static, things like that. So this message, that's what it's talking about. It's referring to the few days leading up to that where I wasn't getting the connection. And even during that message, for 2 days, I couldn't reconnect. Even when I went into a meditation, I would be done and want to connect, and it couldn't happen. It couldn't happen. It said, we're always here. It's just you. It's the human mind that's not dialing up. Like, your radio's not working. It's not us, So there you go. That looks good, Lynn.
Okay. So Tina Spalding on her platform today had an automatic writing workshop, and some friends were saying that it was really a drag for them. Whoops. Hold on 1 sec. It was really a drag for them that they weren't able to connect to spirit. And the thing that I just always want to say to people is it's not them, it's us. That thing that, like, you got to break with somebody and you're like, it's not you, it's me. It really is us. All we have to do is learn to tune into that frequency, and they're like nonstop chatting. So I want to talk about this experience that I had on Tuesday with Jesus. That is something that has absolutely blown my mind.
Is there something on top of your mic?
Huh?
Oh, that's clear. Something, yeah, it was distorted. That's better now.
Something on my mic?
It's okay now. It's okay now.
So I have a girlfriend named Paulette. Paulette is an incredible channel. She channels the One. She channels the Divine Mothers. She's an extraordinary channel. And she's a shaman. And she's someone that when we met, we just knew that it felt like we were both peers and we could hold each other's energies. And we had both had just a lot of training and a lot of education and done a lot of healing. She helped me with some of the deepest wounds I'd ever had in this lifetime. And so, we trade off every other week. So I lay down on my bed. She comes in with her energy. She lives 3.5 hours away in Maryland, and I'm in Virginia. And she says, Jesus is here and he wants me to channel him. And I'm like, great. I channel him every day. I'd love to hear what he has to say. And he comes in and he says, greetings, beloved. I am now going to show you what it is to be beloved to me. And I was like, okay. And he said, you're going to take on the role of my beloved. And my ego was like, well, what about Magdalene? And he's like, you are Magdalene. He said, everyone is the same. He said, you have not had in this lifetime that feeling of being beloved, being the one being taken care of, being the one that, like for me, it was like somebody having my back. It had always been me being the provider, me being the one making things happen. And so he said, you're just going to have to let me in. And I was like, well, you're in. And he's like, no, you'll see. I'm like, okay. So we do the session. And then that afternoon, I am doing a mastermind for 2 clients. And I go to invoke him to come in. And he goes, let me into your heart. And I said, well, you're in already. And he goes, no, open your heart and let me in. And I just took a breath. And as I exhaled, he went in a way that I can't even express that I've ever experienced, being so completely connected to another being in my life. And he hasn't left. And he talks to me all the time. And he said, this is what it is like to have the experience of being beloved to God. And he said, we do talk to you all the time. It's you that turn us off. It's you that close the frequency. It's you that changes the frequency. And it has been, and especially being back home in New York, around family, around friends, a lot of things that could possibly trigger me. It's been really extraordinary. And then Deborah and I were in a Karuna Reiki Master certification, which is why I came up this weekend, yesterday, from 10 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon with Terry Leone. And something was happening to me as Deborah was giving me my umpteenth attunement of the day, where I just started laughing and I literally couldn't stop. And it was some kind of attunement that was happening as well. And Jesus was there. And it's like the more that I let go, the more that I'm finding humor in things that used to piss me off, things that used to irritate me, things that used to, just the whole gamut of emotions. It's like things just, someone cutting you off, and I just laugh over it now. He says, this is what's available when we are willing to open our hearts and surrender to the realm of having the experience of being the beloved. And I talked to Magdalene, and Magdalene's like, we're one and the same. You have to heal that sense that there is any differentiation. So it's been this really extraordinary journey. And all I want to say to anyone who's trying to automatic write, to be as prolific as people like Lloyd and Robert are, is that I know that what they have done is they have surrendered themselves to spirit. They have surrendered themselves to that aspect of themselves that is a living, breathing channel, a written channel. And Rob, the fear that you have about, maybe I would say something that doesn't happen, you don't have to worry about that. Spirit has you, at all. You don't ever have to worry about that. And, I'm really excited to see you when you step into, body channeling. It's going to be extraordinary. Lloyd's going to, yeah, Lloyd's going to be doing that. And Jay already told him that he's going to be channeling him.
Okay.
That's really exciting.
The channeling aspect, the full body channeling, I really want to do that. That I have no reservations with. Okay. They were talking more about, in that particular message that I was talking about, was more about mediumship, giving other people messages. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm a little,
You mean message from their deceased ones?
Yeah. I didn't want to, I guess I'll get through all of it again. I'll overcome it all. I'm sure I will.
Well, yeah, it's just remembering the part of you that is that already.
Yes. Yeah. And that connection. So then I'll skip the how-to one because that's a long one, but that was the next message after the one I read. There's another single sheet one that also came in from my higher self, or selfie, as I love to refer to my higher self. And it just starts like this. I just did my meditation and I heard, just start writing, just start writing, just start writing. You can hear us now. There has been no loss of connection, only perceived within the human mind. You have heard the term, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. That is not necessarily the case. The mind is not to be trusted. It is but a CPU. It has no ability to create or disseminate and process information. That comes in via the Wi-Fi, the pineal, aka the Holy Spirit. You make us laugh as you develop and explain that invisible connection to the divine, for it is the key to all knowing. All inquiry needs to be funneled through that portal. It converts sound and light back into one frequency that is then transmitted through the ethers. That is light language, the automatic sense of knowing, beyond fiber optic. It cannot be contained within a filament. There is much more to be said regarding this thought stream, and it shall be reinitiated upon request. Thank you for your diligence, and remember to ground higher self. So this is another one I read today for the first time since I wrote it. And when I write them normally in the morning, I don't comprehend them because I'm still in that fog. So if I didn't read it again later that day, next page. So remembering to ground, very important. Going back and reinitiating any message to pick up where you left off can happen. In this case, it's the inquiry about, I guess my talking, because I was always explaining to people that The third eye is your Wi-Fi. It should have a little, a little antenna on it, like your phone does, because that's where you're receiving and sending your messages. So I believe probably prior to this message coming in, I was explaining to somebody based on what it says about your Wi-Fi, about your pineal, about your third eye. So that was an extension of what I was talking about. And I think I know the person I was telling about it the day before. So I guess that'll be another chapter in the book, right? The whole story around that. But these are just interesting that I'm reading them now and that they jump out and there's all this how-to in them, and so that's, I just want to finish up with that one. Does anybody have any questions, anything they want to say? Please, I don't want to capitalize on all the time.
You came through with two really beautiful messages for me and for Norbert the other day.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I just want people to know that if you ever want a message from Spirit that's going to blow your mind, ask Rob. Rob, I think that's one of the incredible services that you offer, because the words that were spoken were just so profound. And I think it was about this whole thing that's happened with Jesus that you were prophesizing in what you wrote, because it had been,
yeah, that's right. You did say that there was going to be, there was a message in there that things were going to go to the next step, right? Or the next level. Yes, that's right.
No kidding.
About 2 weeks ago.
Literally, I'm driving down the street. I was in Manhattan today to visit with my Kabbalah teacher really briefly. And there was a man on the street who had a sign up. And just as I was coming to him, I had a $20 bill in my hand. Spirit's like, give him a 20. And I was like, great. Reached for my wallet, grabbed one. And the guy was walking away from me. And the guy behind me is honking because we're trying to get on the Midtown Tunnel. And I was like, you know what? In the past, I would have succumbed to the pressure of the guy behind me. But Spirit was like, no, this is more important. And so I just slowed down and I said, hey. The guy turned around and came back and I handed him the money. He's like, God bless you. And I said, God bless you. That was more important to me than the impatience of the man behind me, like to be of service in that way and not succumb to what is this guy behind me who I'm never going to see or have any impact in my life is going to think of me. And instead of like being mad at the guy who was honking, I just blessed him as well. And it was such a different experience and then Jay was like, as we were going through the tunnel, so what was that like? And I said, it was really different than how I would have been. And he said, you bless everything. You bless every moment. Every moment is a lesson. It's teaching you something. And that's how I'm living now. And it was so different being with my family today, where things I would have been triggered by, I just could smile at them and bless them and send them love. To me, that's transformational. Because you guys know family events like, oh my God, there were 8 of us, blood relative.
Sure. Well, for me, the big shifts this week were to capitalize on that term that I was taught to use 2 weeks ago, putting forward the most benevolent outcome in every situation, asking for the MBO, that most benevolent outcome. So the more I applied that this week, along with the light one, and saying it all the time, all day, because the more I say the light is one and the messages are coming in and they're adding to that, each one is building on the ones before. And as I'm posting them, more and more people are responding. Now it's hundreds of people are seeing these messages in certain groups where it was only maybe a few or a dozen or two. So, and they're catching on to the light one. And then someone asked after about 70 comments, somebody asked, what does that mean? And I said, you know what? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to leave that for all of these people in this group that have read these messages for the last few months about that statement. And this morning I got up and 3 people answered to explain their take on the light one. And I just liked them and stepped back. And again, didn't add any comments because it's the collective. Each one pulls from it what they glean, what resonates with them. And they're able to build that sequence for everyone else. So I was so proud to see that it's taking on a life of its own, and I'll continue to add my light to it absolutely all day long. But that's where we're going with this. So it's just about being excited. And like how many messages I had that said, leave the news off, turn off the news, turn off the crap, turn off the music. It doesn't make you smile. Just don't listen to it.
It doesn't make you happy. You should buy the web domain, thelight1.com.
Yeah, that'll be another one. That's, oh, there you go. Thank you. I'll do that
You're
tomorrow.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Do do it right now.
well, as soon as I'm done with this, I'll go on Wix.
One of my assistants goes, "Why do you have 26 domains?" I said, "Because every time I think of something great, I buy it right away."
Yep, yep. So yesterday, we had a beautiful trip. My sister Ro and I and the family, we all took a ride upstate to a flea market.
Yeah.
First one of the season, so it was a great time. And Ro had explained to us, because she celebrates follows the Greek Orthodox Church, right, Ro? Is that the proper word for it? And they're celebrating Easter about a month after the Christians traditional, celebrate Easter.
James
So,
does the same thing. He calls our Easter fake Easter.
So yesterday, Rory was talking about that, and I was thinking about that. I guess, it was, someone asked me, well, why the difference yesterday? And I said, the Greek is Orthodox, in my opinion, is more accurate than the Christian, because the Orthodox was there prior to, this evolvement, in my opinion. But it's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter based on what this message tells me today. So this morning's message, I did my brief meditation, and then I said, all right, I asked the question about who's in the marquee, who's next? And I said, Osiris, is there a message for me today? He said, but of course, there's always something to convey to you but of course, there is always something to convey to you that you may share. I said, who would like to speak? It is I, your brother Jesus, and I'm delighted at your request this day. To many around the world, this day is a day of sadness, for in the Orthodox faith, Palm Sunday signifies a calling home. It does not mean in a literal sense, but a more etheric one. Palm Sunday is a day of preparation for a reuniting, realignment with Source, Spirit, Father, Mother, God. This is not to say that alternative groups of Christians have it wrong, for they celebrate this day one moon sooner. Still, nothing is lost, for there truly is no time, just moments of remembrance activated collectively. We honor the honoring. I said, what is there I may share this evening with our group? So this is for everybody here. Share with them all that you have written. Share with them all that you know, or nothing at all. For all is perfect. There is nothing to do other than to continue to hold that light, spread that joy, and behold the coming of a new beginning, a change for the better for all who choose to step into the light of their divinity and their own God presence. You are nothing short of a miracle, for each and every one of you has made it to this point, returned once again, but only this time you have reached the finish line, the point of completion, the end of a cycle, and the beginning of a new. To many, it does not feel as though a celebration is required, but if they only knew what has been accomplished, they would think otherwise. So my words are this: encourage all you can to begin the process of introspection and uncover what has so long been hidden right under their nose, and unwrap all that is available to assist in this ascension. Teach of the violet-consuming flame and all its uses. It is nothing short of a miracle, and that is because it is an alchemical process indeed, one that transforms and transmutes all lesser energies and circumstances that limit or prevent higher rates of oscillation within the human psyche, thus limiting one's own ability to feel good. So continue to promote and enlighten all who inquire, and know that the support of your team is always there to assist. With the release of what does not serve, the human will lighten the load and cause the spirit to ascend into the higher planes of existence without ever having to leave the ground. You chose to be here at this time, and it is now has arrived. Congratulations and blessings to all of you, the collective of one. So Jesus introduced, and that was the message. And It's about that meditation, that looking within. That's the key to all of this. I guess I can't stress it enough. And when you find that stuff that trips you up, throw the violet on it. Like I said last week, I put that shit on everything. Put the violet on everything that doesn't serve you, on the broken car, on whatever it is. Just put it on it and let it transmute.
I had a lighten the load experience.
Okay. It looks
So
like
the
Lynn
light,
was-
yeah. So
Lynn,
the,
you-
what's that?
I'm sorry, I was asking Lynn. It looked like she was about to go into a trance.
Oh,
No, I was just feeling Jesus.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
no. So I was watching this movie, which took me a little bit to get through because it was about Nazi Germany. And it was called The Zookeeper's Wife. And it was, one of these movies about Nazi Germany that are always hard hitting. And anytime I would watch these kind of films or films on slavery, I would be just like beside myself, like with grief and anguish. And I was so taken by them. And I found myself at one scene in watching this movie. It took me 3 days to get through this movie, and it's not that long of a movie, but I kept on having to go back to it. I'm crying at one scene in the movie where these German soldiers actually take two women and they just, take them out. They shoot them in the head. And I was like unconsolable. I was crying. And all I could hear myself saying to myself was, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. So it was almost like with this whole experience of Black Lives Matter or the experience of slavery or this Nazi mentality, that I think that all of us have some sense of responsibility to it. And what I heard come back to me was like, you've been forgiven, you've been forgiven. And my depths of lightening the load was to be reminded that whatever role I played in those circumstances in humanity, whether it was directly or in my mindset of contributing to it, hearing yesterday that confirmation, you've apologized before and you've been forgiven. And it really did lighten my load. I mean, I walked out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I've had such a hard time watching these historical things that are of human suffering. I was still bearing responsibility for them, and I wasn't hearing that I don't need to anymore. So it lightens the load, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
And in these messages, they changed the way I write enlighten now, enlighten. And instead of just writing the word enlighten, it's EN capital LIGHT. And that's something this morning I realized I had to go back and scribble it out and change it. Like they'll give me those little bit of tips when I'm writing. So then when I was typing it later, I said, oh, that's right. And then from now on, I'm to use the capital L. And whenever I use the word lighten, right, or enlighten, not just the word light, but in that, because it's adding light to it. Enlightening is adding light, helping you to ascend. So thank you. But
helping others to ascend, not only just ourselves, but
all of us, because we're a collective.
It transcends. Yeah.
Right. We're rising up. And then also, from what I gather from what you're saying, that point of release that you're talking about, that forgiveness is the same as putting the violet. It's another way of using the violet to just get rid of that aspect, because all of these experiences that we all have had in this life and past lives are just experiences to teach us a lesson, to help us to recognize our divinity. None of it's real in the higher realms, okay? Right. That Holocaust, all of those things, yes, they happened at this 3D level,
right?
But none of those people really died in the soul, from a soul perspective. They were here to teach a lesson. They were here to have an experience. They chose to play one role. Some people chose to play this role. Everybody had a role to play in this. And where did you fall in it? And were you able to recognize your divinity then and not go through with it? Or did you have to die and then come back and deal with it down the road as a karmic lesson, so to speak?
We just went to see Shakespeare, and there was his thing, all the world's a stage. So right there. Exactly.
Well, Saint Germain is Shakespeare. So it makes even more sense, doesn't it? Okay, and that all the world's a stage. I heard that the other day, reminded me, and I said, oh, that's right. That's right. That's just, and I had a message. Lynn, you want to add anything? Okay.
No, thank you. I'm I'm really enjoying this.
Okay, okay. So it's funny. Now we're gonna keep going with this topic because I got a message that I started on the 23rd and finished on the 24th. Again, it was a long one, but it was from Lakshmi. I think the last message I put out was from Ashtar, and then the next day, this message came in from Lakshmi, and it took 2 days for me to process it. But and this is gonna segue into everything that we're talking about. I said, Lakshmi, can you expand on the earthly timeline of ascension? And what can I expect to experience in my current lifetime? What I can't tell you, excuse me, my glasses are dirty. Well, I can't tell you everything, but there are some things you can expect for sure. Expect that great things ought to occur in rapid sequence. Expect that much of humanity will be ascending, as well as yourself and the many family members you have. This is not a do or die scenario. This is simply a recognition of oneself and the acceptance of the divinity within and the emptiness without. This game is up, and the pieces will be returned to the box, and the new game will then commence. All will be restored and rejuvenated on and in Mother Gaia, and the new template established for expansion. With each new roll of the dice, each new sunrise, you can expect a softening of the old and worn out systems of control and manipulation as humanity begins to recognize their own abilities of creation and begins to create a new world of love-based action and compassionate acceptance of each and every soul upon Gaia, knowing that all are one and that separation is just an illusion. As I use great platitudes to explain what is to come, there are some aspects I can be more specific or direct about. For instance, the emergence of technologies that will free man from the cumbersome systems of power generation. They will disappear quite rapidly in your current lifetime now. Second, transportation will evolve as well, with much less need for roads and rails as new equipment and vehicles are introduced that will move without friction and simply glide upon the Earth's magnetic grid. Similar to the ships that exist above and around the Earth currently. Communications will be more than just wireless. They will be deviceless as well. As each individual rediscovers and develops the skills of telepathic communication. Third will be food, your diet. The diet of most will not contain meat and dairy products, for as the body ascends energetically, only plants, fruits, and vegetables will be consumed, leaving the animals to enjoy this new paradise alongside us. Cages and pens will not be required to house wildlife because all will come into alignment with oneness, and no longer will there be a predator-type energy housed within the minds of all living creatures, animals, and humans alike. Next will be the emergence of non-structured governmental systems of equitable distribution of funds and resources as needed without restriction or racial bias. All resources of Gaia are in abundance and there for all to enjoy, no longer sequestered and labeled private or off limits. Your borders will disappear as well. Your borders will disappear as well because the Earth is simply one big territory with no fences, walls, or private zones. All is for all to enjoy. Oneness is and oneness does. So expand your idea of inclusion until there is no one left out, no matter what they may have said, done, or should have done. This experiment is complete. The game is done, and all will have the opportunity to choose love and recognize the divinity within all things. For those who choose to remain within the framework of the 3D mind and way of being, will continue to battle the thoughts of the mind and the restrictions of the ego. Everyone else will ascend into the new paradigm of heaven on earth and beyond with no restrictions. This is your choice, each and every one of you. So recognize the truth of your heritage, the truth of your being, and embrace what is now available to one and all. This is not folly, this is truth. And each of you can choose to accept or reject. No judgment here, only love and compassion. For this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. So come watch the new sunrise with us and leave the old behind. It is time to make the move. So start looking within. And that is where you will find the path to enlightenment. It is clearly marked and only requires silence, trust, and willingness to accept the love that is the foundation of creation. So expect great things and focus on peace and tranquility as things evolve. I am your Lakshmi, and I look forward to a reunion of all souls in the recognition of God within everyone. Bless you this day, and congratulations on another job well done. So, another message that says this game is up. We've done it. We've made it. The light is won. Put the pieces back in the box. The new paradigm is here. The new game, the Age of Aquarius, is about to start. I wonder if there's any dice in this one. I guess not. There's no more chance. So thank you for letting me read that one. They touch on so many different things. It touched on the new forms of energy, the different way we're going to eat. It was interesting. They talk about no longer will the predator energy be within the minds of any animal or human. That aspect is a 3D aspect, and as we ascend, that predator energy goes away. So that's interesting. I never even would have even thought of that, but it was pointed out in this message. It's, I don't know. Anybody have anything they want to add, please?
I said the lion lays down with the lamb.
Yeah. Right. The bit about vehicles, less roads and less rails. Everything is going to be magnetic levitation, for the most part. We won't need as much of that. And this free energy system, that's what they're referring to, that will be in our lifetime. We will have this Tesla this rediscovery of Tesla's inventions, because now we have the technology, the computers, to regulate the voltages that those technologies can produce. 100 years ago, we didn't have computers. We didn't even have solid state that could handle the variations in output. Now our computers can clean it up like a surge protector, and protect our equipment from any overloads. So that's what that's referring to. And like I've said in the past, I've been working with some people on Tesla technology. So I can't wait to share this message with them, to encourage them to keep going. Our lifetime.
Rob,
That is so cool.
We have a lot of Tesla over here in Hawaii, and it's going back to the grid. There's so much energy that's being produced that you're able to sell it back to the energy companies. Right. I mean, it's huge. I mean, so what you're saying is already happening.
But that's solar, and you're talking about solar.
No, it's photovoltaic. What is it?
Photovoltaic. That's solar.
Oh, okay.
That's agitating electrons. Solar is just the panel. The electrons are agitated by the sun. They spin faster. When they spin faster, they create a current. It's an excess current that we're able to capture. That is solar.
That not Tesla, because they're storing them.
That is, Elon Musk has taken the name Tesla and made his corporation Tesla, and he has the best solar panels on the market, and now the best storage systems for that solar energy, battery packs. The only problem with solar is we lose the sun, you don't get any electric. We get 3 days of darkness from a volcano, you have no solar. Okay, when your batteries run out, you're out of electric. The Tesla technology that I'm speaking of and that they're referring to and people are working on is all magnets. It has only to do with magnets. Magnets don't ever lose their capacity, their output. And it's just a matter of putting them in an array where you can capture that energy, build upon it, and put it into the grid, the same as solar. The boxes that are to run houses, from what we understand, are to be 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. That's all they are. And that would run a house. And it gets buried in the ground. So it's always grounded. And everybody will have one in their backyard. So we no more grid. The wires will go away. You'll only have local grids within communities, so that this way you're not relying on, 100 miles away, Niagara Falls, to produce the electricity that everything is going to go much more independent. The wires are going to go away. We're not going to see all this stuff fall over our heads. And they're saying that's in our lifetime. And I'm seeing it. I know what the guys have produced so far. It's just a matter of refining and expanding those technologies. And I'm not the only one adding to it. Lee Carroll, the man who channels Cryon, he's been feeding the information and hints as well for a few years now too. What I've been told by Tesla directly, because I have messages from Tesla, that I ask questions. These gentlemen will call me and say, well, what about this? We have a problem with that. And I'll start to ask questions. And Tesla say, you don't have enough invested in this. When you decide to go 100%, but you're not going to understand what we tell you. So tell them to call me. And these guys are mediums as well. So I call him like, nope. He tell me, you got to ask, you got to ask yourself. He's not giving me, but he'll give them little tidbits, enough to keep them moving. But they got to keep their dog in this hunt,
So does that mean that we'll see the disappearance of power lines and stuff like that? Oh, great.
Yes. All that stuff is going to go away. Cumbersome. They use the word cumbersome systems, right? I think that was.
Well, it's funny because we talked about Tesla yesterday during our class, right? Because I know Tesla energy must be around me, because I see them. I can be driving down the road and it's as though someone takes my head and goes and points me, look, there's a Tesla. So that symbol that's on the back.
Yes.
Like, I'm constantly seeing that. And I was actually given a download yesterday, where there's one right in the back of my head, one in the back of my neck, and one that goes across my shoulder and down my spine. It's just like really amazing. But Mary, funny you talk about solar panels, because when we first moved to our house in 2000, I said, let's get solar. My husband was like, no. We only got it a couple of years ago, and the new technology, even on a cloudy day, we still receive ample electricity and feed it back to the grid. So I think solar is ever going to go away completely? No, but definitely all the new technology, like in new areas where they're building new, it'll definitely come to fruition. I can't wait. I love progress.
Yeah, no, they're installing it everywhere. But and the reason I said that, what I said was because I'd listened to Elon Musk a few weeks ago when someone asked him about the future of solar, and he said, that's it. We can only agitate an electron so much. We can't add any more efficiencies to solar. It is as far as it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said that statement, because I'm taking it right from Elon's mouth, and knowing that the other systems will work anywhere, in the dark, in the light, anywhere you want. And this Cryon has channeled prolifically Lee Carroll with regard to ships, and how ships will be powered with these Tesla motors that create electricity, because ships right now are run on electric engines to begin with. They have diesel generators, but the motors are electric. So it's a matter of getting rid of the generator and putting in the magnetic motor, and then these ships can just go and go and go. So there's so much information that's out there that others have channeled, that hopefully I will be able to fold into these as time goes on, and be able to cite everyone's work and put it all together with the help of the higher beings, I'm sure.
Definitely. I must have something to do with all this technology, because it gets me so excited. It really does.
It's electrifying.
I'll find. It's electrifying.
I know that was a cheap one, but I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I know, right? It's funny because Rory was talking about you can't wait to telepathically communicate. My son came home the other night. He says, I have something I want to show you. So I said, okay. He says, Dad, go sit on the couch by Mom. I want to show you something. He goes into his room. He comes out. Oops. And I said to him, what? You got a tattoo? Okay, baby. I said, you got a tattoo? So he said, how did you know? Oh my, how did you know? I said, did you forget who I am? Do you forget who your mom is?
Yep. Yep.
Hilarious. We're going to be doing it real soon.
Elon Musk is an aspect of Nikola Tesla. And Nikola Tesla was not from Earth. He was a gift to us, bringing us technology. And he got shut down. And Elon, I had a chance to talk to Tesla. Oh my God. Back in the 90s, through a friend of mine named Levi Longfellow, Rochester York III, who was an extraordinary channel. And he brought Tesla through. And we had a conversation. And I said, have you reincarnated? And he said, an aspect of me has, and you'll know who he is when you see him. And that's who Elon is. And I mean, how do you think spaceships get powered? You know, it's,
well, that's what it says. Yeah.
It's magnets. It doesn't have, there's UV still comes through even if the sun goes behind the clouds. I have a message from Magdalene. We have just a few more minutes left. So if everyone's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and bring her through.
Please do.
It's a little different than last week. Hold on a second. Greetings, beloveds.
Greetings.
Greetings. Greetings.
When you allow yourselves to understand and to remember what the pyramids are actually for and how it was that they were used, and the courses of water that ran through them and how they were used for energy, you shall indeed understand the technology that is already available to you, that is already accessible. However, much of this information has been buried deeply, but beloveds, it is still accessible to you within the realm of your own Akash. There are indeed many alternates for what is known as the input and output of energy. Allow yourselves, beloveds, to investigate deeply within, and you shall find all the answers to all of the questions that you have ever had. For those of you who keep attempting to look outside of you for these answers, understand that they are so well documented and so well revered within. Go within, beloveds, and if taking pen to paper is not yet something that you have mastered, continue to practice, for it is indeed a gift that has been given to all, granted to all. Everything that has ever been desired already exists and manifests in some realm of reality. How could it not? For the instant that the mind imagines it being so, it manifests. And what gets in the way of that manifestation is the human mind that believes that it must take time. There is no such thing as time, beloveds. And while it is easy for us to banter about and make these profound and prolific statements, understand that there is indeed an aspect of you within that knows and understands the truth of these conversations, because you recognize and you remember the places where they exist. So allow yourselves to go within, to quiet the mind, to indeed come to the state of meditation, coming into the stillness, and allow yourselves to expand inward, upward, and downward simultaneously. It may create a bit of a spin for you, beloveds. And there are indeed many symbols and many tools that can assist you in this breath work primarily. But when you allow yourself to go into the expansion of the soul aspect of beingness, you will find that every answer to every question is waiting for you. So we invite you, beloveds, to seek within for the truth and the answers. And if you need our assistance, you need only ask. We are always ready, willing, and able to be of service to you. Greetings and salutations to you, beloved ones. We shall speak with you again. Cool. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Always a delight.
Thank you.